Super Bowl champ with the New York Giants, 12 years in the NFL. Was also a teammate of Kirk Cousins. We'll get to that in a second. Will Blackmon is joining us, 4:30 Eastern on FS1 today, about the time the Giants have to make a move on Saquon Barkley or they'll franchise tag him. So Netflix has a new fascinating series called Quarterback.
Obsessed.
And, for years and years, we've had this HBO stuff, but it feels like it's played out. I'm not really into it. Hard Knocks doesn't interest me. The Aaron stuff, we'll talk about it if there's funny stuff that comes out of it, but I don't, whatever. So Netflix comes out with Quarterback. You're obsessed on this series.
Oh, it's great.
Okay, so give me if I'd never seen it and you're trying to sell me on it, what does it provide maybe I've never seen?
What it provides each tier in terms of the type of franchise quarterback. So you have Marcus Mariota, right? He is, he came in first-round pick, went through some adversity.
Now he's a backup.
Battling with confidence, which was the thing. And then you can see his journey through there, trying to revive himself. And then you have Kirk Cousins, who is a, franchise, very efficient quarterback, still, can't get over the edge in terms of leading his team deep in the playoffs. And then you have Mahomes, where it's like, if I already thought super highly of him and I thought he was a real deal, no one's close. Watching this, it makes it even more certain that there is no one in his realm right now. He has every single intangible, like mentally and physically, you want from a quarterback. Like his belief in himself and what he can do and how he can lead his team to a Super Bowl. It's amazing.
Well, he has the ability, what I've seen so far, is he has this incredible confidence and emotional belief. It never becomes narcissism.
Ever.
It's all, his ego is all tied up in winning.
Period.
Sometimes your guy Aaron Rodgers' ego is tied up in Aaron.
We're not talking about Aaron right now.
Okay,
Anyhow,
so
we're not going to just go to Aaron. We're not going to just segue this. Let me finish on your point with Mahomes to back up your point. Right. When his team was down 17-0 versus the Raiders, when he went after Max Crosby and argued with him, he said, my team needed that, to your point. Yeah. He said, my team needed that. So, yes, I agree. Winning. When
I watch Mahomes, people confuse the two. I always said this about Baker Mayfield. It was often about his hubris and his shield. Don't me. I like ego. Brady's ego was about winning. Peyton Manning's was about winning. Mahomes is all about winning, and he's got it. Like, he'll talk, you know what. Like, he talks a lot of crap, but it's always about, in this moment, you're not beating us. I'm taking us over you. And I think there's a fine line. I think fans and players often confuse that. We want ego if it's placed under as the headline to the winning department. Don't take shots at the medical staff, Baker. Don't take shots at a teammate. Don't talk about your, I want to retire. Never talk about that. That's about you. It's not good for the team. I'm not just taking shots at Aaron, but I've seen this. I don't know if he confuses it. His ego is based a lot on, I'm going to retire, I'm going to control. Mahomes is all about the W. That's why I love him.
Well, let's give Mahomes another 10 years and see when he faces adversity.
It's called the NFL. He faces it every Sunday. Now, what about Cousins?
They face him every Sunday.
What do you make of Kirk Cousins in this quarterback series?
Yeah, I think it's cool to see where Kirk went from being in Washington. I was there with him for a couple of years. But you can tell with him, he's very detailed. He's very calculated. He thinks a lot, sometimes overthinks.
Sure.
And is really
That's been his rep.
Right, that's been his rep, into a lot of things. And I would say you can see glimpses here and there in terms of like a little bit of edge, but just not enough edge. But I would say the common denominator across the board with all these quarterbacks is that they are all leaders in their own way. And you can tell like the guys love and rally around Kirk, but you can tell that Kirk definitely evaluates and looks at every single piece of the puzzle to be successful. Where you look at Patrick Mahomes, he's just going to go out there and try to take someone's head off. Like, he doesn't overthink anything. He just goes out there, he understands what it is. And also too, you can see Kansas City is what Andy Reid does, he has them completely prepared across the board, like as a team.
Who's that?
Andy Reid, what he does for the Chiefs.
Yeah, Reid's
like
different.
everyone is completely on the same page, and you can. That's exactly why. That's why when they lost Tyreek, I'm like, they can't replace him, like his actual attributes, but they can just get more punt returners and then run more trick plays, which is what they did.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Tiger Woods documentary yesterday. It's the two-parter. And childhood was very unique, very almost military background with his father, very strident, very limited, very controlling. And at some point, he burst out of that and went sideways emotionally because he'd never been given a piece of candy. So what did he want the first time he made money and had freedom? Candy. So it's like with Mahomes, I do think a big part of his success, Dad was a pro athlete.
Right.
When I watch Mahomes, his ability to compartmentalize, highly emotional on the sidelines, highly emotional, and then he gets into the game and he's totally under control. That feels like some parenting in there. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I would say parenting for sure, but Andy Reid is such a he's like Phil Jackson, where he really understands like the person, the player. You know, again, in that documentary, Patrick talks about he allows us to be ourselves and wants us to express who we are, but also he understands like where it could be too much. So he does a great job in controlling emotions of his players on the team. And so I would say it's more, especially in this world, you know, because I know a lot of players that grew up, you know, with both parents and had a great childhood. And actually, in some cases, it's used against them because.
Right. Well, the Tiger situation, it's like, I know it was really instructive. In the end, it felt it was a tad destructive.
Right.
Right. Like where Mahomes is allowed to be, from parents to Andy Reid, he's allowed to be an artist.
Right.
But I think he does a really good job. And maybe it's just good parents, good coach. He's gone, you know, when I watch Mahomes, I get the perfect balance of ego, creativity, and yet team structure. It's very unique when you get all three of those.
Well, yeah, he does all that stuff for the best interest of the team.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be no matter what, especially in the professional athlete world. Because for me, I can play for any kind of coach, and I had every coach you can think of. My Pop Warner coach used to go crazy and curse. My high school coach used to go nuts and be crazy. I played for Tom O'Brien, who has a strong military background. I played for Coach Coughlin, who's real aggressive. I had McCarthy. I had Gus Brown. I had all these guys. But at the end of the day, is however they are, if their best interest is in the player, the team, then it's all good, But then when the ego is the only thing that takes over, then that's where you lose a lot of players and lose a lot of people.
And there's some coaches where I think sometimes college coaches become very much about ego and control.
Well, because they feel like you need them, but now it's kind of turning a little bit.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
Saquon Barkley. So earlier, Ian O'Connor, a very talented writer in New York, said he's the classic giant, the Frank Gifford mold. Hard worker,
right?
About winning, always says the right thing, good looking. He is a classic New York Giant. And now you know this, and I do because I lived out there for 10 years.
You're right.
The Giants are like the great big accounting firm of the NFL. Even when they win, they're not exciting. But there is a giant. There is a way to do business. They're like Michigan football. Like Rich Rod didn't fit. Right? Like he just didn't fit. He was too whatever. But like for Barkley, even though it's a running back, is there an argument that you sign him because he's the embodiment of this organization at their very best? The class, the work ethic, the productivity. He is the classic giant for an organization that's been trying to find itself for 9 years.
Yeah, I think that it'd be hard not to, because he does belong there. When you think of the New York Giants, you think of Saquon.
He's the kind of guy, an under the radar star who's all about team.
Right. You think of him, and that's why I hope he does get paid, but I can also see him playing under the tag because just the type of person he is, he's the ultimate competitor, and for him to. I know he has new management. For him to sit out this year and wait till he gets something, I don't see him doing that. But yeah, I feel like New York does have to get something done. Especially they took care of the quarterback, they took care of the defense, and so I think it's trying to figure something out. And I think it will get done.
By the way, I don't want you to think when you come on this show, I'm just taking shots at your guy, Aaron Rodgers. I don't want that to be our relationship.
It's not.
I do think he's great.
It's not. I just didn't want to talk about him yet.
Okay. Because I do think I always get marginalized as a hater. I think they're going to win 9 games and just miss the playoffs, but he's going to make them significantly better. 9 to 10 wins. That's fair.
9 to 10 wins. And that's like postseason worthy, you think?
Yeah, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to.
They'll be on the good side of the 10 or 9
What's the
season.
last game of the year for the Jets? Do they play like a Miami or a Buffalo? The way the league structures it now, they want the last 2 weeks to count, so you play your divisional rivals.
So you play your players.
So who is going to? What's the Jets' last game of the year?
It is in New England.
Okay,
January 7th.
I think they. So I look at the Jets' schedule. I think they're going to go to New England with the playoffs on the line. That's what I think. I think they're going to stumble some early, pick up a lot of wins in week 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They're going to go on a nice winning streak.
That is a schedule.
No, how about the early one?
That's what I'm saying, the early one.
That's a lot of Jalen Hurts and Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes and Dak.
They're going to need that week 7 bye. I'm trying to tell you.
It's rough.
That's great, though, but that's what he wants, though. He wants that. And that's what's going to be exciting. He gets Josh Allen. He gets Mahomes.
Okay, let me just count the wins right now. Right, I'm going to go. So I said Buffalo's a brutal opener. They come off an embarrassing playoff loss. They're pissed, and they're also bringing back a team, same coordinators, same team. That's a hard win for the Jets.
Listen, but the Jets are going to be excited, healthy. Buffalo, right now, emotionally, we have no idea what's going on over there.
So you like the Jets to beat Buffalo?
I think it's very doable. Yeah, dude.
I think that's a tough opener.
Number 2 is going to be tough. Cowboys going to win that one. I'm just saying right now.
Aaron's always played great against Dallas.
Let's add, Will is currently employed by the Dallas Cowboys.
Well,
at Dallas, that's a tough one.
You don't think week 1 matters, but if you look at games that are tough in a row.
Who said it doesn't matter?
Well, I know, but you don't say.
You mean in general? Well, lately the NFL's been putting some dope games in the beginning.
But I'm saying if you face in a row, Mahomes at Denver and Philly. Okay, you're not going 3-0 there. You should split with Dallas and New England. The Buffalo game becomes the difference between 4-2 and 3-3 and a really bad start. That Buffalo game is. Why are you rolling your eyes? It's a gigantic game.
That's a big game. But again, I don't know where Buffalo is, again, emotionally when it's time to go. Something happened in that building where everyone is kind of being weird about whatever's going on. That's weird. And then in week 2 early, Micah Parsons is known for ruining games. So for him to go to Dallas and see Micah in that defense, that's going to be a big problem. New England, don't know. But, yeah, Kansas City, that's a beast.
That is the toughest 6-game stretch to start the season. So you either have great quarterback, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, or great coach.
Right.
Sean Payton, Bill Belichick.
You got all pros, Hall of Famers, and MVPs in the first 6 games.
Like, it's rough.
That's legit.
All right. Everything good for you?
I'm golden. I'm excited. Had a really cool week, and then I go to training camp next week. Let's go
for the Cowboys.
For the Cowboys, yeah.
Can you give us a little insight because you're tied into the organization now? Because you played for McCarthy.
I played for McCarthy.
What is going to be better with the Cowboys than a guy like me, old Mr. Cynical guy? What part of the Cowboys has impressed you more than you thought?
What part has impressed me more than I thought?
We all know they're best players.
Right. I don't know, because everything I felt like that I've seen the outside that I expected, I kind of, me, I'm always like really detailed and cerebral in terms of that. I think I was confirmed with how gifted CeeDee Lamb is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to see him operate in person, he's very, that acrobatic OBJ type of deal. Yeah, and he's I think he definitely got stronger. And then, and Brandon Cooks, he's...
Dak said at a camp for kids this weekend, he goes, I will not have 10 interceptions this year.
Love it. He doesn't, then they're going to... go super far.
Well, Mike McCarthy tends to. Well, I'm not going to get into McCarthy. You have a relationship with him.
Tends to what? I'm here to defend.
Okay, I'll ask you. Mike McCarthy tends to fill in the blank.
I can't fill in the blank.
Okay.
He tends to have a winning record as a head coach.
Okay, that's appropriate.
That's the truth.
Yeah, mostly. It is. It is.
Why does it mean mostly?
No, I think he is more than capable. Some of his
He's
clock
a Super
management.
Bowl winning head coach. That's the only thing anybody could say. Clock management. Nothing else.
Well, that's the game is played with a clock.
It is played with a clock, but that's the only thing.
Yeah,
you know.
That's fair. I'm not trying to corner you here.
I'm never cornered
now
on this show.
By the way, Mike McCarthy is calling plays this year. I've been told. Can you validate that?
I don't know because you do. There's a coordinator there, a veteran coordinator.
Conservative veteran coordinator.
But he's still a veteran coordinator.
Worry a little bit about that conservative stuff. Should I be worried about that?
Listen, run the ball, play defense.
Oh, good to see the 80s called. They want their ideology back.
Yep.
All right, Will Blackmon. It's good seeing you.
You too, buddy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.